What's up, guys? I hope you're all doing well. And this video might be a surprise to some of you, but I wanted to do a review for this movie because, look, Alien Romulus is coming out very soon. And I've been very excited for it. I thought the trailers look great. I like the director, I like the cast. And I never really talked about the Alien films on this channel. And I haven't really even gotten into them as a series. I mean, I've never seen any of the films past the first one, which I'm going to be talking about today. So I'm excited to talk about. I'm going to at least do a review for Aliens as well, because Romulus takes place in between the first and second movie. So it's like an Alien 1.5, I guess you can say. I don't know. Haven't seen the film, so we'll see how standalone it really feels. But I wanted to talk about Alien. I just watched the film again on 4K last night. I think the picture is good, but it still feels very dirty. It still feels very lived in, and I think that has a lot to do with the production design of the film. I believe it was Oscar nominated art decoration, set design. It looks incredible. The ship is one of the best spaceships you've seen. You know, I loved as the film opens, you're taken through this empty ship. And I've only seen this is the second time I've seen it. The first time I saw it, I believe, is when it came on 4K the first time 5 years ago. So this is the film's 45th anniversary. So you're going through the ship and it's empty. And I'm thinking, where is everybody? And then you realize, oh, they're in like hypersleep or sleep or whatever you want to call it. They're in their rest mode and they're woken up. Why are they woken up? Well, there's been a distress signal, an SOS, and some of them are saying, are we still getting paid for this? Do we get paid extra for this? Which I really think, with those characters talking about the money aspect of it, it kind of humanizes it. It really humanizes it and makes it feel like a real situation. So I did really appreciate that in the screenplay. So they go down to this creepy planet where some of them get out, some of them stay, and John Hurt's character is one of the ones that get out, the late great John Hurt. And he goes and he's investigating, and they see this skeleton of this decayed alien that we don't know how long, how many years it's been there. I mean, it looks really creepy. And then we go down, and he's investigating these organisms, and one of them attaches itself to him. So they bring him back to the ship. Sigourney Weaver's in the ship. She is great in this movie. And throughout the film, this is an ensemble cast. So at the start, I was like, okay, I don't really remember Sigourney Weaver like the main character of this film. What's the case? And throughout the film, she really staples herself as the the top player. I mean, I don't think she gets top billing in the film, but she was the lead for me. I mean, she stands up more than anybody in the movie, especially by the end of the film. She's the smartest of the cast as well, of the characters. Now, when they bring John Hurt back to the ship and he's comatose, some of them are like, don't bring him on. She's like, don't bring him on because we've got protocol. But Ian Holm, Bilbo Baggins himself, the late great Ian Holm, opens the door. Doesn't care about protocol, opens the door. So at first I'm thinking, well, this character is just an idiot. Why is he doing this? He's very emotionless. Later on, that's all explained when you find out that he's artificial intelligence, which I thought was really interesting. The film doesn't really dive into that aspect of it, but the characters were pretty okay with it. When they all find out that he was an AI, everybody's just like, oh, he's a robot. Like, okay, I kind of want a little more into that, but the film doesn't really dive into that. So it was a little strange, but at that, time period, whenever this movie takes place, the characters think it's semi-normal, I guess. So, I just have to go with it as well. So John Hurt's brought back onto the ship, and this thing is attached to his face. They're trying to cut it off, and the liquid that's coming out of it's burning through the ship. You find out that they got to go to this planet. There's an SOS signal. The tension starts to build, and then we get to find what's down there. We realize that it was like an SOS, and maybe it wasn't an SOS. Maybe it was like a "Don't come here, danger" type of message. all that stuff. The tension builds throughout this movie, and Ridley Scott's direction is great. I mean, he really is the master of suspense in this film. And this might be one of his best movies. Like, I haven't seen every Ridley Scott film, but this one's definitely up there. I mean, the tension, that this is one of the most suspenseful films I've ever seen. As we discover that this face hugger is now detached itself from John Hurt, and now he's, fine, and they're all having lunch or whatever, and all of a sudden he starts choking and giving birth to this baby xenomorph in a shocking scene. Nobody knows what's going on, but all of a sudden it starts to go down. And I thought this scene was great. I thought it looked great when the thing comes out of his chest. It looked great. I mean, the makeup effects and like the gruesome, gory effects, all of it really, really worked. Now the film continues, and we're searching for this thing, and it grows. It grows really fast into a full-grown xenomorph, and now the rest of the cast, the surviving cast, have to try to survive, and they are taken out one by one until Ripley, played by Sigourney Weaver, is left. Now, the some things that didn't work for me come at the last act of the film. When you see the fully grown xenomorph, I wasn't the biggest fan of how it looks. I love its design, and like, look, I have the damn Fortnite skin. Okay, I love the way the xenomorph looks. But in this film, not sure if it was a budget restraint, but it looks like a guy in a suit most of the time. Now, when there's close-ups of its face, looks really cool. But when you see the thing just like laying in the shaft or whatever he's doing, it kind of looks like a guy in the suit. And there's one scene where the tension's building and it finally pops out at the one guy, and I rewound it and paused it because it just looks so ridiculous how it's just like, and its hands are out and everything. It just looked a little silly to me. But as the film goes on, the tension still builds, and Ripley blows up the ship. She's the last survivor. She blows up the ship. She gets off. She thinks she succeeded, and realizes this thing is in the escape pod with her. So now she's got to blow the thing out of the escape pod. In a great sequence, but just the way it looked slightly took me out of it. And the explosion of the ship, the Nostromo, I believe it's called, you know, Star Wars came out 2 years prior, and you could tell Ridley Scott took a lot of inspiration from a lot of the exterior shots of the ship from Star Wars. But I guess he didn't take inspiration from the explosion of the Death Star, which looked great for 1977. The explosion of the ship in this film, I was like not a fan of. I don't think it looks great. But it is what it is. 1979, the budget being what it is, and every film can't look like Star Wars, so it's okay. And also, yeah, the xenomorph as well just kind of looks like a guy in a suit. I'm excited to see the next film with James Cameron directing it, which has gotten a lot of praise. This film's gotten a lot of praise. And it's a great film. It's a great suspense film. It's a great thriller. I don't think it's scary. I wasn't really scared. I was creeped out. The tension was building, but it wasn't like scary tension. It was just like tension. But with the film almost being 2 hours long and you're in a very confined space the whole time, I mean, it does fly at a pretty good pace. I mean, I was curious to see how far I got into it. And I'm like, okay, how far are we into this movie? So I looked, and I was like, oh, well, already an hour into it? I was like, okay, wow, that's pretty cool. So the pace was pretty good, and it did kind of fly by because I was always engaged and I was always entertained. So in the end of the day, I love Alien. I think it's a great film. And I just think that some of those things I mentioned are things that kind of hold it back from being like one of my favorite movies, but I do love it. I think it's a great movie, and I would have loved to have seen this on the big screen. I mean, I know they re-released it for its 45th anniversary a couple months ago, but I didn't get a chance to see it. They also released Shrek 2 for its 20th anniversary. Didn't get to see that. This, I think, would have looked incredible on the big screen. It just looks like a movie that you should experience in a Cinemark XD or an IMAX type thing. But yeah, I mean, Alien is a classic, and it's a 4.5 out of 5 star film for me. I would have loved to have given it a 5, but I just think that, the way the xenomorph kind of looks like a guy in a suit, some of the visual effects with the explosion, how the thing pops out, John Hurt. I love John Hurt, and I feel bad for him what happened in this movie. But Ian Holm would have liked to have gotten a little more information into that, but that's not the story the movie was telling. So I guess we'll find out in the future. Now, I've seen Prometheus, and I know they're delving into, like, the Michael Fassbender character is also AI, so I'm excited to see what they explain and what you find out in those movies. So that's my thoughts on Alien, guys. Comment down below. Do you plan on seeing Alien Romulus? I'm very excited to see it, and I hope that it can keep the same tension that Ridley Scott had in this movie, because if it does, that's going to be great. And I'm very excited to see it. We got a bunch of reviews coming in the future. We got Despicable Me 4, which I'm going to be checking out pretty soon. Got a review coming up for that. And, of course, Alien Romulus. When that hits, we'll be able to check that out and do a review for it. And, guys, you can follow me on Twitter and or X at RyanKing72 and Instagram and TikTok at KingArises131. That's been it for me. Thank you so much for watching my review for the 45th anniversary of Ridley Scott's Alien. And until next time, over and out.